we are again.
3 point?
We're just going to call it 0.5, all right?
Fine, it's 0.5. It's 0.5.
Well, this is the don't make any mistake, this is, in fact, the Johnson City Brewing Company episode. You're in the right place. We're here at the Technical Media Compound in the studio because there was a technical glitch. Actually, there were repeated technical glitches today. And
one of those days.
We're lucky we have as much as we have.
God, you know what it is?
What's that?
It's full moon tonight.
Oh, full moon. I should have seen this
Full
coming.
moon.
We should have done it like in a druidic grove with a fire or something.
I meant to go up to the Hinge, but I just didn't get there today.
Well, okay, let me back up and tell you what's been going on. We promised for the last few days we're going to talk to Kat Latham.
Yep.
We're going to talk to him at Johnson City Brewing Company. I talked to Eric beforehand. We're all good to go. I go down to Johnson City Brewing. Their internet's out. So there is, and they're like, no problems. We have a Wi-Fi hotspot that you can use. I connect to the Wi-Fi hotspot. Will not stream. Not possible to stream. So, no worries. I call Bailey. I'm like, message. No one calls. Whenever I say call, I mean message.
It means, Facebook message even. It's not even like
right.
a text.
Exactly. Exactly. So I messaged Bailey. I'm like, we can't record. She's like, well, I mean, we can't stream. She goes, can we record? And I'm like, yeah, we're going to record. Everything's going to be fine. So 8 o'clock comes along. So does Eric. And we know that we're just going to do a straightforward recording. Eric comes in. We talk to him. We're recording, so we can run a little late. We don't have to start right on 8 o'clock when we're doing a recording. So Eric goes and talks to some people, and we ask him to turn down the music, and we start to settle down. I'm like, Eric, whenever you're ready. Then his wife shows up. Now, the plan had been we talked to Eric for the first half of the show.
And then Kat the other half.
Right. And so we would get both perspectives on this walk across Tennessee. Well, Kat's there. Somebody's got to go watch the kids. So Eric hops in the car, drives off, and so this is what we meant to do last week, is talk to Kat. So it's like, all right, this works out. We really want to talk about Kat because Eric's gotten all this exposure, and we know that Kat has been working behind the scenes to provide for him along his trip, and she's just a great person to talk to.
She's awesome.
Anyhow.
She's so cool.
And so Kat sits down and hit record and start talking, and about half an hour into that conversation, I looked down and the recorder had stopped itself. Oh, son of a bitch. It stopped itself again.
Oh my God! What is happening?
We are so freaking cursed. It's okay.
What
We're on
is
YouTube.
happening?
We're on YouTube, so I can still get this. So we're still recording. But it
stopped itself again.
It just kicked itself off again.
Which, because Johnson City Brewing did not have internet, and we were just recording.
Right.
We didn't even have the backup.
Right.
The YouTube backup.
Thank goodness we have the backup. So now I started the recording again, and I'm watching that button. I know I just hit record on this thing. I started both of them at the same time. In fact, when you start the streaming, it automatically starts recording here. I'm worried about my software because this is on two different machines. Anyhow, moving on. Half an hour of that conversation with Kat we lost is the long and short of it. So we're going to kind of start over and give you a recap of what we talked about at the beginning. And then we're going to move straight into the rest of the conversation with Kat because don't worry, we still have 46 minutes of interview. We wrap it up very nicely. We still have some really great stories. It's amazing we've gotten this far.
We were bummed.
Yeah. We're not going to do an extra this week.
No.
We've had to record this a little bit later.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be our extra and our episode all rolled into one.
So suck it.
I'm just hoping a piano doesn't fall on me before we're finished.
God, don't.
You
know what?
Bailey's like, I don't even own a piano.
I don't own a piano, but if there was one in this building, there's like a crawl space or something above your thing. So it would be there.
Yeah. Oh,
and
geez.
This is an old house. I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
That's true. There could just be a stored piano up there waiting.
I'm surprised we haven't had sort of like a I Love Lucy, like, I don't know if this ever happened on I Love Lucy, but like where the bathtub falls through the
It should
ceiling.
have. It totally should have.
It really, my bathtub's like cast iron or something. It
It's
weighs
more-
probably like 400 pounds.
It's more like Family Guy blows up his neighbor's house. No, 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 no.
That's exactly what would happen here. Oh my god. Yeah.
Anyhow, we're not going to cover all of the stuff that we covered. What we talked about was the biggest news downtown this week. It's been kind of a slow news week.
Yeah.
Segway Tours, Tri-City Segway Tours opening up on Main Street. I think today they were actually open.
And they did. I saw in the bathroom of Johnson City Brewing that they had a September 4th like preview.
Oh.
So maybe September 4th was the preview, and then...
So they're going to be offering tours of downtown Johnson City by Segway.
So if you can't, if for whatever reason you can stand but can't walk for a third of a mile, this sounds perfect for you.
I mean, it's a great idea for the elderly.
Yes, sir.
For people that have physical disabilities, I think it's wonderful.
What I want to know is if they're going to go... Now, I can see... I make fun of it, but I can see if they go into, like, the tree streets or something. Like, I want to know what the route is.
No, that's a good point. If they have a really expansive route, if they're going all the way down Market Street, like beyond Atlantic Ale House and down that way...
Because surely they're not just going down Main Street.
That's a good point.
That
Because
would be insane.
a lot of Johnson City's history goes way beyond just that one block.
If you go into the tree streets, you can go past...
Sing it.
Al Capone, where Al Capone was
Montrose
said,
Court.
Montrose Court.
The Model Mill. The Model Mill.
See, yeah, I could see if they did. That would be pretty rad.
Because the story of Johnson City, the story of downtown Johnson City is the story of the General Mills Model Mill.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that mill, the tree streets would not have existed. The tree streets were built by the managers and the employees of the mill.
Yep.
In fact, the brick in those buildings were created right there where Acoustic Coffee House and all that stuff is. That was the original brick foundries. And then eventually, once they started kind of mail ordering from Sears and Roebuck, they started building on top of that area. So it all comes around. And if that's part of the Segway Tours, I'm all about it. I think we're going to have to take a Segway tour, Bailey.
I think we'll have to. So Patreon,
we're going to need some GoPros. So
we're going to need some GoPros.
If you could just sign up for the $100 Patreon level, we'd really appreciate that because
just imagine us with the helmets and the GoPros.
I can do this.
We can go down the road. It'll be amazing.
I can totally do this. We'll have and thanks to Kat, who was offering us the GoPros with the flexi mounts, so that you can actually turn the camera around and look in front of you as well as at your face.
Well, to be fair, she wasn't offering. She was saying we could get the mounts from Best Buy and put our phones.
Right.
Which is a really good suggestion.
Sure. I've got a streamer on my phone that we could technically do a show from my phone.
Maybe we will someday.
It's just I like the quality of our little web bot here a little bit
when
better.
It works.
The web bot's always working. It's
the
web brain. I'm really disappointed in you, OBS. I'm really disappointed in you.
You give it a good stern talking to after we get off.
I'm writing a memo is what I'm doing.
Write a memo. Send it to the whole company.
Yep. Permanent
publicly
file.
Shame him.
But yeah, Segways. And then that's right. I talked about when I was at Infocom that time, and I did donuts in the Segway
and got sanctioned. What happened?
Well, started making little ramps out of things that we found, out of books and stuff, and so we're trying to take the Segways off some sweet jumps.
Oh my god!
And that's when security finally, the people that actually brought the Segways as a demo, they didn't care. They're like,
yes, take it.
You guys knock yourselves out.
It'll be fun.
But security didn't think it was funny.
I've never been on a Segway. I would like to be on a Segway.
Well, we'll talk to Segway Tours. I don't know. There's so many questions I have. It's just the newspaper articles in Johnson City Press this week.
Well, and like I said before, is that it's so funny because it's sort of indicative of where our city is.
Right.
Tourist-wise.
I mean, we finally have enough interest to have a tour.
Yeah.
And
And
then
even-
on Segway.
And honestly, even if it's mostly local business,
Yeah.
you have to have a cool city where local people are like, yes, we want to do a Segway tour.
I just want to ride a Segway.
I do too.
I'm pretty sure that I can add stuff to their tour they don't know.
I like yes. We could do that. We could just be really annoying the whole time.
Yeah.
Let's like read up.
That's it.
We'll be like, I think you'll find that Al Capone never went to here.
About halfway through, I'm like, let's go down to brass tacks. You pay us, we'll do this for you. You don't, we're
We
going to
will
do it
back.
anyhow.
That's right.
In fact, I might be over there on my 10 speed going, hey, let me
Oh
tell
my
you
God,
guys
yes.
some great stuff.
What was it Jamie Dove was saying? We loud.
Right.
Just follow around. We loud.
That was a whole... You'll have to go back a few episodes to watch
Actually,
that
that wasn't even on anything. That was us eating
Oh, that's right.
at a restaurant.
That's right.
That was just an
after.
inside
That was
joke.
after the fact. Way loud.
What you loud. About anything past 12 o'clock. No, yeah, just follow over. You know what? If you're on a sidewalk, you can film anyone.
It's a public sidewalk.
It's a public sidewalk, so we could just be those assholes.
We'll hold some cardboard signs.
Yeah.
Hometown East Tennessee tours, 10 cents, and then we'll just walk faster than the Segways,
BYOB. Yeah, that's right.
talking louder than them.
We'll just make shit up.
Yeah.
This is
Where the machine gun was invented.
where when I snuck out when I was a teenager, I had
John-
my first beer.
John Q. Chestnut invented chestnuts in this building.
Johnson City Johnson. That's his name.
Right.
That's Johnson City is not the name of the city.
No,
It's just
it was Johnson City Johnson that originally found the city.
he was basically like a monocled,
Right, he had the big mutton chops.
Yeah. He was
And-
just an eccentric character.
And the city was already here. I mean, it had been settled for years, but he just found it and took credit.
Yeah, that's right. Asshole. Actually, genius. Genius and asshole.
I think our tour would be much more
I
entertaining.
think we need to do this tour.
Well,
It's an improv tour.
we just need to talk to him. It's like, okay, let's be honest. We're going to let you do your tour,
Yeah.
but if you don't hire us, we're going to be right over there
That's
doing
right.
it.
It
Yeah.
and more funny.
That's
It
true.
won't be more accurate.
No, God, no. Yeah,
No.
I could
Be
be
less
accurate if I wanted to.
Yeah, but we don't want to.
Why
That
would
would
I
take
want
work.
to?
No, like I said, it's an improv tour. Like put improv in the like.
I think we found our moneymaker to fund
think so.
fund the show. I think
Oh,
we can do
we
that.
should. We should do that. And
I
then
think
the
we
other
can do
thing.
it. Yeah.
Improv Johnson City walking tour.
The complete lying
Oh.
tour of Johnson City. I mean, why not? A lot of the ghost tours do it.
That's right.
Oh, don't get me started on the ghost tours.
Now Johnson City has a ghost tour, doesn't it?
Yes, and don't get me wrong, they're fantastic people, and I'm not naming
No,
names.
no, I didn't
I'm
mean
not-
to. call you
yeah,
out.
I didn't mean that, but I know for a fact, in the traditional meaning of fact, meaning a piece of information that can be independently verified, that they have liberally adjusted the truth to create
Pull it out.
drama.
Pull it out.
You know, so and so died in this building, and this year, I am the asshole that went back and checked the newspapers, and it was not true.
have you ever heard of the YouTube channel Ask a Mortician?
Oh yeah, yeah. My friend Kat's a mortician, so it's one of her favorites.
That's right. You mentioned her in it. Magnificent, but she did she went to Savannah for some reason, and she was talking about the ghost tours there, and she was like, I personally am not, she's like, I believe when you're dead, but then she was saying, she was like, there's a formula for a ghost tour.
Oh yeah.
Find an old house, make sure someone died in it, preferably violently, and preferably a woman in
Right.
white or
Right.
blue, and it's the whole thing is like, and then you charge $30 for
I've done convention talks on faking the I called it faking the supernatural,
yeah.
and I know the buttons. You know, it's another story for another day. I can go on and on, but there are certain not memes, not tropes, but
Things
I guess
you
it is
do.
tropes. It's tropes. It's common things that you'll find to stories.
Well, yeah, because there are certain things that always are going to elicit a response.
Right. The mystery spot where cars will roll uphill. You put talcum powder on the back of it, and you'll see hands pushing the car. Those are all over the place. There's one on Okolona Road.
Oh, I know. And there's one over...
There's Verbal. He
there's
doesn't like who's... He's chasing ghosts.
Chasing ghosts. There's one over in... what's the road between, like... You know where Lowe's is?
Mm-hmm.
And you go out past that, like... If you're going back toward those really nice houses, like between here and Jonesboro, there's a bridge or a little tunnel. Not the main tunnel that you go through, but you... I wish I could describe this better because this does not, for good TV, make. You go... Like, you're headed to Boone's Creek, but the back way. And then there's a little tunnel there. And they say if you sit in it... You'll hear people whispering and talking.
Like Sensible
But it's like
Tunnel.
water.
Sensible Tunnel in Kingsport.
Yeah.
Is a long, creepy-ass tunnel. It's not far from downtown. You go through the tunnel. It's covered in decades of graffiti. But when the tunnel was made, a creek diverts right through it. So it's always full of water.
Yeah.
And that's one of the tunnels. And you can find these across the country. A woman... child, baby died there.
Yeah, or a kid got hit in there. I think that's the one near Boone's Creek.
Yeah. So now, when you drive through there, you'll see a woman in white. You'll hear a baby crying. You'll see a spectral child. Something will bump against your car. It's the same thing in all these things. I have a whole book right over there called Weird America.
I feel like we need to make clear you are more of a skeptic.
Absolutely.
Than I am. I'm not. I would never call myself a ghost believer, but I think you're more.
I'm open-minded.
If there was a scale,
I am a skeptic.
We're close. I'm a skeptic too. I just had a certain number of odd things happen, but we've already discussed that.
Right, and for me, it comes down to I am a skeptic, and I don't believe in the metaphysical supernatural, but I do believe that the mind interprets things that way.
I agree with that, but I also believe that at some point, like in 100 years, it's possible that scientists will be like, well, yeah, of course you experience this voice because there's something we didn't understand before about physics. Like, not that it's a ghost. I don't think they'll be like, oh, yes, ghosts exist. I think, but it's one of those things where I think at some point they may be like, well, yeah, energy gets something in a something. I don't know anything about physics.
Well, yeah, but one of the theories is there's some kind of dimensional, gravitational...
Because we don't know anything. It's like...
Something is there, and the brain, trying to make sense of what this unknowable thing is, creates a scenario around it. And that's kind of what I believe.
That's... Okay.
Because I don't think there's anything there. I think that our brains are doing their best to take what it knows and make it palatable.
The way I think about it is there's a shrimp that can see thousands of more colors or something than humans. Maybe not thousands. Maybe hundreds. But anyway, can see like infrared. Humans can't see it. It's that sort of thing. Is that maybe there's things going on that we just can't understand. And you're right. And our brain is going like...
There was a man who had cancer once. The cancer did damage to his brain, and he was no longer capable of identifying faces.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that is a thing.
He could not tell the difference between his wife and a hat rack.
What is that called?
So he's walking out of the doctor's doctor's office, and he grabs his wife's head thinking it was a hat rack. That's the name of one of my favorite books.
Yeah,
the man mistook his wife for a hat.
Yes.
But to me, it's the same kind of aphasia that we get with things we don't understand.
Right. We just fill in the blank. Our brains are built to fill in the blanks.
Halloween metaphysical show?
Yes.
We'll be back. Halloween. Lots of this stuff. That's all we'll do.
Yes.
In fact, to hell with it. We'll even use the extra for that. We'll have fun on Halloween.
Yes, we will have fun. And we'll be dressed on Halloween.
I think we will.
We'll be dressed on Halloween.
So, what we had was Kat.
Yes.
Kat is the wife of Eric Latham. Kat is a hilarious person.
Co-owner of Johnson City Brewing.
Right. She runs all their businesses. They have more than just Johnson City Brewing.
I didn't actually know
I did. I forgot about it. I cannot remember the names of the other ones, but we've talked about. She and I have talked about this. But vivacious and fun. I adore Kat.
She's adorable.
She's so funny.
Yeah. Well, I know. She's so funny because
Yeah.
she was like, I don't know why you all would want me on here.
She was acting all demure.
Yeah, and then as soon as the cameras roll on, it was like she was a fucking star.
Yeah.
It was like she was like in her element.
She led the conversation where she wanted to go.
Marvelous.
And she was talking. She was talking about this. She told this great story. Which
we won't do it justice, but we'll try.
If there's one thing that breaks my heart that the computer recording stopped was she told the story of at Little Chicago Festival,
which
last
she helps
time.
organize.
Right, she especially does the kids zone stuff.
Yeah, and actually, what's funny is I think when we interviewed Eric, she was outside getting
That's
ready.
right.
For Little Chicago, and we were watching her like run around like a busy little bee.
Right, and she was making faces at all of us.
Yeah, she did.
So they had a little train. It was a
what
was
did
a
she call
little
it? A cow train?
Cow train, I think is what she called
train.
it. And it was a little SUV, kind of looked like a cow, and they drove it around. And every night after the festival, they had to take it back to. She had someone take it back to her house. They put it up on a truck and took it back. Well, this night there was no one to take it back, so she didn't know how she was going to get it back to her house, which was several blocks away. So she runs into one of the local police officers, like, do you think I could drive this thing back to my house? It's just a few blocks up Roan Street. And so she had a police escort.
Yeah.
One policeman in front of her, one policeman behind her, and then this little train just going up the hill on Roan Street.
She was like, there's one, the cop in front of me started getting further away, but the cop behind me was staying like right there.
So she thought it looked like a high-speed chase.
And yeah, she said her biggest regret was not getting
not
getting a selfie of it.
That would have been awesome.
I know, and I just wish someone was on the, like, I wish someone who wasn't a native to Johnson City, like, saw it, and would, like, live streamed it, and was like, what the fuck?
I want to be a YouTube star.
Like, what? I know.
It was a great mental image. We're not doing justice to the story Kat told, but it was really funny.
It was very funny. It was very funny.
And we asked her about Eric's walk across Tennessee. Now, you've been watching the show. We did updates just about every episode. I think I forgot one of them. About where Eric was going and how far he was traveling. He traveled 624 miles across Tennessee from Mountain City, right at the North Carolina border, all the way to Memphis at St. Jude's. And, I mean, that's a huge trek.
Mean, just, again, I know I've said it before, we're closer to Canada than we are from Memphis.
Absolutely,
so
true
just
story.
give you some perspective.
It was a massive trip, and Kat was saying that Eric pretty much organized this thing himself.
Yeah,
I mean,
like it was his thing.
Yeah, she was like, do you need me to help? And he's like, no, I got this. And so she was like, all right, no problem. You take care of it. And so he divided his walk up into distances going between, I think, like 10 miles at the smallest and a couple 26s, a couple 27, 127
127, yeah, that was his longest.
And so he had it all mapped out, and he had figured out that he was going to stay with fire departments along the way. And Kat said that he was totally capable of doing this. However,
I thought the fire departments came next.
Did it? Did that come later? I was thinking
that came later.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let me.
Sorry, I want to get it most correct.
What she said was about 2 days into the walk, he started having problems with logistics. Where is he going to stay?
Yeah,
where does he go next?
Eat?
He's got a little camper that he knew he was taking with him. But
they
how
needed
did they get it
people
there?
to get it before him.
So
because he couldn't drive. He couldn't drive. He couldn't accept a ride. Like, just to be clear.
Drink beer.
Like, he couldn't drink beer. Yeah, that's the worst.
And he went to all these breweries. Oh, that's right. And they had planned on visiting a series of breweries all along the route, but they didn't get to do that. And that's going to pay off when we run the video here in just a minute.
Yeah.
You'll see why that's going to be important. So she drove the camper pretty much through East Tennessee. She met with him in Knoxville, and then after Knoxville is when they finally kind of got in a situation they needed help.
Yeah.
So Kat ends up going to Facebook, asked around, and she started playing what she called the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game.
Yeah, yep.
Where people she didn't know, but friends of friends, started offering to drive the camper and get it in position for him. And they decided that her dad had been a firefighter, and they decided to contact the local fire departments along the route and see if he could stay there. Brilliant, because, like Kat said, firefighters are generally the trusted people that even in rough neighborhoods, people are not messing with their cars. Right. They're not vandalizing their buildings because there's a little bit of respect you got to have for a firefighter.
Yeah, because if you choose to run into a burning building, like, cops are contentious.
Right.
I'm
no one ever says that fireman was a jerk. Right. I was just trying to hang out with a fire and he made me leave.
Fireman.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't have a fireman.
I'm just saying, I have a friend who's kind of got No, my friend kind of has an obsession for. Never mind. That's a whole nother
different
thing.
Yeah, that's a different show. But yeah, no, firemen are the. I mean, really, I never think about firemen. But I should.
But they're the good guys.
They're the good
because
guys.
you can count on them, and you take firefighters for granted.
Who decides to run into a burning building for a career?
And as Kat says, you're running into a burning building to save people that should have already gotten out.
Yes, exactly. Even dogs and little cats, they'll save like little things. It's not just.
And Kat's, having her dad having been a firefighter, she's like, these people should not be there, or a lot of times they've gotten themselves in a bad situation through bad decisions, and these firefighters forgive them and put their lives in danger to save them. So
insane.
What a great camaraderie that whole culture of firefighters have, that they would invite in Eric.
Yeah.
Who's he's raising money for St. Jude, but they're taking in this guy. Sure, hang out. And she said that they would cook for him.
Yeah.
A lot of them would cook for him. They would do so much more than they needed to make sure that he was taken care of and had a good trip. Along later on in the route, the firefighters, a couple of the chiefs, would drive his camper
to the next fire station.
Right.
Yeah.
I just thought that was such
it is cool,
fantastic, brilliant network.
And I want to say, I wanted to loop back to this during the interview, but we just never got there. But did you hear when Kat just snuck in that she was an EMT for 4 or 5 years?
Right.
And I was like, what? My brain was like, remember this, to ask her about it. But then we just never got to.
You're right, and I thought the same thing. But Kat controlled this conversation, as you're going to see shortly.
Both her, like I said, both her and Eric are the same. They were both
delightful.
it was delightful, and they were both like, I don't know. But then as soon as we started recording, they were like, yeah, exactly. Which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Makes our job easy.
Absolutely. We just hung on and asked a few questions along the way.
Hear cool stories.
She was telling us how after Knoxville, it was a little bit of a challenge to get him to Nashville.
Yeah.
And, his biggest challenge was mental. It was great when he had people walking with him. His mind was busy. He had things to think of. But, his feet are hurting. His toenails are falling off.
6 toenails.
And she said that it was bad when they were coming off, but once they were gone, it was a lot better for him.
The reason I laughed, so I started cracking up when she said it's better that his toenails were gone. I thought she just meant in general. Oh. She was just saying his feet were terrible. And I was like,
see, I get it
that's
now.
why I cracked up.
I
was like, No, I don't want him to have hanging toenails.
Right, who does? So then she moves on to he's getting tired, and we talked about, I was watching the live streams. I tried to, usually his live streams coincided with lunch. When I was off work, I was here at home eating lunch so I could watch his updates. At first it was 1 and 2 in the afternoon, and I'm like, Eric, how about moving it back to lunch for those of us who don't have a lot of time? And so I got to watch his updates, and I started getting worried as he was getting closer to Nashville, because you could see him. He'd lost weight. He was beyond exhausted. He was starting to look a little gaunt.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so worried about saying something she says already, but Like, he lost 20 pounds, which he said is, he looked like he was in a concentration camp. He just lost his cheekbones were like pointy.
Right, and so when she arrived in Nashville, she had not seen him in a week, 2 weeks, something like that.
Maybe.
She had not been able to actually see him, so she's at that waypoint for 4 days. They were going to stop for Labor Day weekend in Nashville, and when she got there, she saw him in that condition, and it absolutely freaked her out.
Yeah.
And
as it should.
I'm trying to think if... Well, I'm going to go ahead and start telling part of this. I think it's going to overlap with where we're about to start.
But that's okay.
But they're there, and she's looking at him, and he's talking to someone, and she says, Eric, you need to sit down. And he was just like, okay, all right, and very pliant, and sits down, and she just starts getting really concerned and checking him out. This is where she starts talking about how she had been an EMT for many years. And she got so worried about him that she turned to some of the EMTs that are at the station they were going to be staying at. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a gap. Like, she had him sit down in the restaurant and was like, what do you want to eat?
Oh, that's right. That's
but
right.
He wouldn't,
trying
like,
to get him to
he was like, he just sort of nibbled on stuff. And he was going to walk back to the station with one of his friends.
Right.
And she went ahead of him in the car because he couldn't take a car. That's part of the thing. And while he was walking, like, the quarter mile, she said, or half mile or whatever it was, she was hitting up the EMTs at this super busy Nashville station.
She said it's
station.
One of the busiest stations in the country.
Fourth busiest in the nation, I think is what she said.
She said calls come in every 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. And she said she was like, okay, do you have fluids? Like, you can... And I think that covers it to
I think we're about caught up. They said... They looked at her for a moment and then said,
"Yeah, that's exactly where it starts."
Because she was an EMT, and so they knew that they were checking her out and checking him out. She's like, "No, I don't want needles." So then they start checking him out, and she realized that they saw the same thing she did.
Yeah.
And they decided that he was going to need some fluids, and he needed them now.
Yeah.
So I think that gets us caught up. With where we're going to pick up the conversation with Kat Latham, wife of Eric, who walked across Tennessee.
Yes.
I know that we promised that Eric would be on the show, but hey, when the wife shows up and says, go take care of the kids, you go take care of the kids.
Honestly, we would have missed it all anyway because of the glitch.
That's true.
So there'd be no Eric.
That's true. It all works out in some weird way. This is our second-hand account of the first half of our conversation with Kat. From the moment I realized that the recording had shut off. I've done this a while.
He sneakily restarted it.
Once I restarted it, I realized, let's keep them talking. Let's go over. I was hoping they weren't paying attention to the clock. And so
I was, because I really had to pee.
Sorry about that.
I unbuttoned my pants. I had to pee so badly.
In the moment we were done, you don't see it, but she is gone. I mean,
I had to pee so badly.
So keep that in mind while you're watching.
Look at the pain. See if you can see the pain in my face.
And I apologize for my hairline. So that takes us to the interview with Kat Latham. Thanks for understanding and sticking with us here on Hometown East Tennessee. Believe me, the rest of this conversation you don't want to miss.
No, it's so good. It's so good.
You're gonna love Kat, and we are gonna have Eric back.
Yes.
So
and we've talked about. I said we need a whole Kat episode, like not related to the walk.
That's right.
Because I don't know much about Kat, but I want to know more.
Yeah, Kat's a great lady.
She's cool.
So enjoy, and we will see you next week, where we'll be back with another episode and another extra right here, Hometown East Tennessee.
But it is the 5th busiest fire station in the nation. So every 10 minutes, approximately, the alarm will go.
Holy crap.
And so they also had paramedics there, like full-scale, like hardcore paramedics. So I drove to the fire station from Tennessee. We're scared to walk because that's what we did.
Right. That's one of his rules. He couldn't take a ride and he couldn't have a beer.
So I zipped ahead of him. And it was so funny because a friend of ours, Zach from Bad Idea Brewing, who's also in Nashville, was within the Tennessee Brew Works, and he decided, well, I'll just walk with you to the station. It's not that far. It's like a quarter mile. And I could see them coming out of the corner of my eye as I'm like chatting, like going, okay, so you guys have IV fluids, right? Like you've got these things, and you have a paramedic on duty, right? And they're like, yes. And I was like, I'm really not trying to get a needle from you, friend. Like, you know, like, I got this guy who's walking across Tennessee, and I swear to God, he's going to fall down at your feet, and we're going to have to take him to the hospital if you don't put some bags in. And so they came out, and they're like, hey, man, and approached him and started to, he learned to assess. I've been doing TV for 5 years, and I'm watching them do their visual assessment, and they're like, you can kind of see it on their face. They're like, why don't you hop in my buggy right here, and we're gonna put some stuff in you. And Eric was like, he was just not there.
That's terrifying.
And Zach, our friend, he was like, Eric mentioned that you were probably trying to do something as they were walking up, and I was like, yeah, we're going to do something right now. And then and Eric was like, well, you can take Zach back to his car. And I was like, sorry, Zach, you're going to have to wait till I know that he's strapped in and has something in his arm, because I know he will turn around and go to the camper as soon as my bag is strapped. And so Eric was like, no. And I was like, Jack, if you got 10 minutes, buddy, and he was great and hung out. But,
Uber.
I know. But it was just one of those things, and so he got they ended up giving him 3 bags of these were the double bags. It's not just one that you get.
Just the banana bags?
It's just IV fluids that you do, but it was they're super bags that they carry on these things for really sick people. And so they did essentially 6 bags is what it was the equivalent to get in his system. And they were kind of like, all right, you need to check that back in with us, in the morning if something happens in the middle of the night. This was about 10 p.m. by the time we got back to Tennessee. And so he really scared the hell out of me, to be quite honest with you. And so I was like, okay, I'm here. We're going to take care of things, And so I got him in, and I was like, just lay down over there and don't move. Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? He was like, no, nothing. And about an hour later, he was moaning and not feeling good. And then about an hour later, he pops up and he's like, I'm hungry. Awesome. Whatever you want. What do you want? I will go and get it. And he's like, I don't know, just something. And I said, done. So I sprint out of the camper, and I was like, where's the nearest food joint? And so, of course, the Bottoms fire station is in downtown Nashville. Downtown. And so they're 2 blocks that way. Okay, so I'm hooking it down 2 blocks, and the only place open was a very lovely restaurant called The Diner. If you've heard of this, it's 4 stories of awesomeness, apparently. I only found the first story, that was all I was interested in. So we paid $30 for a Philly steak and cheese sandwich, but it was the best damn sandwich you ever had.
Better be.
And he scarfed that down, and I was like, okay, crisis almost averted, I think. And he spent, that was a rest city. So he spent 3 days in Nashville. He walked in, had a day. Did we take another day? We might have taken another day. I think that was a 4-day, because it was a long weekend, right?
It seems like it was.
Memorial Day or Labor Day? What's the last long weekend?
I think it was Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. So he walked in on Friday. He stayed Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and so he had 2 days of sleeping and eating and putting his feet in buckets and trying to, he lost 6 toenails on the walk, and just.
I thought he was joking about losing toenails.
They were gone. It was worse when they were on, because once they fell off, it was that. But it's true. And they're just hanging on by a thread. They're very painful.
Yeah.
And so once they fell off, it was bad. But
and he was here a little earlier. He had to leave before we got started. But, he had a little bit of a limp.
Did he explain that to you?
He didn't go into detail on it.
So he walked on the left-hand side of the road, right? Oncoming traffic. So he always walks on the shoulder of the road. You know how the roads are a little bit tipped this way? So his left foot was always tipped this way for 624 miles. So about the last 200 miles, his ankle really started bothering him. And then for whatever reason, now the top of his foot is having issues. So we think he probably fractured a bone in the top of his foot. Probably trying to, I think it was also from trying to stay off the ankle. I think he was tipping forward, trying to keep off the ankle while he was walking. So he says he's better today, but we'll see. There might be x-rays and casts in our future, but we're going to give him a couple more days to see if it
Gosh, I hate that. that was, he did not look well. I was trying to keep up with his daily updates, and at that time I was kind of worried just watching him on the video. You could tell he was exhausted. I mean, that weariness that you could only get through that kind of exertion, you could see it in his face at that time.
It was about 2 days before Nashville, when I was like, oh, something is not right here, you know, and then I started asking, like, are you drinking? Are you eating? Like, what are you doing? So we actually ended up giving him insurance shakes. Oh, yeah. Like the really high calorie ones. We have a couple different kinds of ones, like super high calorie, and that he could tolerate, even when he was, like, not wanting to eat, he could at least slurp down 400 calories.
They don't taste great, but they do their job.
Yeah, and so that was good, and then we started getting some advice about, like, some through hikers. We started talking to a lot of them, firefighters, through hikers, and that kind of thing. So we started getting magnesium was something that people started recommending that he start taking, and that made a difference. Emergency, you know, that little packet,
made Nashville.
The stuff that's in there, all of those things, actually really made a difference. So that he'd slurp that emergency in the morning, and Ensure, and then a thing of magnesium, and then his like multivitamin, and then just start drinking a bunch of water and Gatorade, and that seemed to give him enough pep to get through.
Yeah, after Nashville, I mean, that area between Knoxville and Nashville is really lean. There's just not much in there. But my gosh, from Nashville to Memphis, those little towns, the big stretches of nowhere. How did you find folks to move that camper down there?
It's a lot easier.
Really?
Yeah. So after Nashville, we had some friends actually that came down from DC and stayed with him for the first week that he was out of Nashville. It was really helpful. They fed him lots of little pies and things with lots of sugar and carbohydrates and all that stuff. So that helped a lot. And they kept him hydrated and walked with him. That was the other thing. When people walked with him, they gave him so much. So for all the people out there that walked with him, they really saved him. So that was like the first big dish, and then after that, I found a couple more rides just from random folks that was, you know, friends of friends, and that filled in. And then a couple of times, the fire chief from station to station, or one of the firefighters or paramedic or somebody would move it forward for us. And then the last like 5 days, 4 days, we had a couple of our other schematics that came out. You could see Vern walk with them. You could see a lot of the pictures of them walking into Memphis and all that. Vern is an accomplished hiker. Like, that's what he does. If you see his calves, they're like, huge! He's just like not a huge dude. Yeah. His calves are like intense. And for a lot of times when people walk with Eric, he would pace to them. Sometimes make the day a little longer than it should have been. But with Vern, he was like, I had to keep pace with Vern. Like, it was, you know, it was good because that was like the last 4 days. And that was good. And he was like, can I do this? Can I do this? And like, and Vern was like, come on, man. Like, let's go. Let's do it. You know? And so that was a real blessing.
What was his longest day? Because there was 27 miles. There's at least one. Another one close to that had to be.
There's a lot of 26ers.
Okay.
There's like 6 26.
Because it's broken down at walkacrosstennessee.org. He broke it down as to where he's going every day, how far he's going to hike.
And then that doesn't count the dessert miles that we pull, which are the ones that once you actually arrived in the town, like to go to camper, or if somebody was like, and people mean well, they meant very well, but like they'd be like, hey, just meet me at this restaurant. And then he's like, okay. And it was like 2 miles from the camper, you know, so that's a bit of a hike. So for the folks who like running stuff, that was really helpful. But there was a few like, and like one of the breweries and the fundraisers. Like originally we had it booked for like a ton of breweries who would stop and do these fundraisers in. It's just too much. It's just too much. So I was like, we just have to say thank you for the offer, because if you do it on your own, you will not be coming. You know, like, and I feel like that was okay.
Yeah. I mean, after you've walked 500 miles, 2 miles is a really long way if it's not contributing to your goal.
Especially if you're like 2 miles there and 2 miles back. And then you didn't do anything to yourself.
It's really, what is when you do the Appalachian Trail, the average is what, like 32 miles a day, but you need to do it within the season. So he was basically doing the Appalachian Trail
Yeah. I mean, some days were 10 miles, right?
And he had some shorter ones, which was really good.
He seemed really smart, because he seemed like he would have a really long one, he'd break it up with a short one, and then another really long one.
He needed more shorter ones. He really did. Like, the long ones were mentally very, very tough. But he sent me flowers the whole time he was gone. Did you see my post that I did about that?
Yes.
The whole time that he was, every day I got multiple flower pictures. So
That's awesome.
He would send me flowers from the road. And I was actually thinking I'd like to put it together because I probably have close to 60 flower pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Little collages and little flowers of Tennessee.
That would be awesome.
All wildflowers.
Just a little map of Tennessee with like small pictures of it all the way across it.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That was really sweet, and it helps. I like to think that it also helps with his morale too, to be like, okay, here's something I can focus on for 5 seconds before I'm going back to that. You know, so I'm super proud of him.
Yeah. Well, and we're super proud of you.
Absolutely.
Because honestly, I mean, we've said this a few times before, but like, it's easy to get stuck on Eric doing his thing, but it's a team effort. Like, for real. I'm not like,
he did. I mean, he really did. You know, I don't know that I could have done what he did. Like, I walked the first 11 miles from Mountain City to Shady Valley. We did the snake, up the snake and down the snake and then out. And it was really funny because the walking to the mountain sucked a lot. I was like, this is horrible. Are you doing this every day? It was so good because we like to hike, like we're hikers. Once we hit the mountain, it's like my body knew exactly what to do because Eric was like, whoa, you're going fast. And I was like,
all right.
I don't know how to do this, Art. But my body's like, I get it. Like, we're heading up the mountain. I know what to do. You know, but like the flatboards were atrocious. It just went on forever. And like, there's nothing.
Are we there yet?
Right.
Are we there yet?
It's really hard on your body to keep doing that.
Absolutely,
you know, like, and my legs were like, please God, go uphill. You know? And then downhill wasn't as good as uphill. I mean, we were both like breathing hard, going up, and I was like, it felt much better going up. Down wasn't good as good. It was good. And so that was my only real, walking time with him. My use was much better getting things, setting him up, picking up some food, grabbing some water, making sure his camper was set up. That was, whenever I could be with him, that was a better use of my time.
Right. I mean, it sounds like you have support down in the side, so we can handle all that. There's sometimes there's no difference.
I'm a mom, I can't help it. It's great. I've always been a mom, that personality. People like, seriously, got this. Just tell me about it, it's fine. Like, it really is.
You only kind of hurt my feelings. Yeah, just a little bit. Maybe a bit.
So 600 plus miles later, he's finally walking into St. Jude. I was out of town. I had a gig that weekend. I had to watch it. I was like, I wanted to watch this, but I had to watch it in the replays as he walked into St. Jude. I felt the triumph of the moment as he walked
tear
up
up a little bit, it's like watching a movie.
Yeah, I was thinking to bring like a thing to start playing like a Rocky theme, but it was a little anticlimactic because you have to check in like at the guard shack, and so I told everybody, I was like, get right here, don't look at him, like nobody look until he's done checking in, because we kind of saw him come around the corner, and I was like,
just pretend he's not there. Pretend he's not there.
Let him check in, and then like so then he checks in and turns, and we start like and all of a sudden he stops and he's like this because he was turning on the live feed. We're all like, oh wow, like this is a moment. Get off your phone.
It's a lot like with the show we do, because beforehand I was like, no, don't talk. We're gonna save it for the show.
Yeah. And so finally everybody's like, oh, he's putting the live feed on.
Right.
And so then they were like, okay, now we have to do it again. Yay! So it's a little weird. But
that's showbiz.
It was the campus is in beautiful.
Yeah.
Have y'all been there at all?
I haven't. I've seen the photos, they put out in all their material and stuff.
Their memorial garden is phenomenal. The layout's really nice. They did a good job of making it look like a campus. Like when I say campus, like not a hospital, like a campus kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they don't allow children in the hospital unless they're ill. And so thank God my children are not in there. But so I wasn't able to go in for the tour that they did the next day. but I know it affected, it affected Eric, and he was like, this is why. And I took a picture of the big check, and my girls, got to kind of be a part of that experience and trying to explain it. It was really interesting when they would explain, and I loved listening to them try to explain who your daddy was. Or then Eric would call home and go, "Do you want me to come home?" I'm like, "No, Daddy, you Like, I love that. I know that you want them to say, like, come home, but they know, they understand. Like, and they would say, my daddy's walking across Tennessee. He's doing it for the sick children, and just, and he's staying in the camper. When he gets back, we're going to go camping in the camper. Like, this was the whole, line that they
So the kids were pretty positive about the whole thing, about having Dad gone for a while.
He was gone for 5 weeks, but I swear to God, it was just, we were just so busy. Like, school started, right?
Right.
McKenna, our 5-year-old started kindergarten this year, so like adjusting to that schedule. And then our 3-year-old started preschool 3 days a week, which was a big deal, And then we got music classes, and we had ballet for a while, and we got Tuesday scouts, and we got, all the things. And so really, there were nights when we didn't get home until 8:30 at night anyway.
Yeah.
And, when we would FaceTime with him before he went to sleep or throughout the day, he would call and FaceTime. And so that made it easier. And it was nice. He was here. It wasn't like if we really needed him to call. If somebody started crying or what have you. And so I know that they missed him, but we were just so busy. Like, we just thing to thing. And so funny today, Eric took the girls around to their activities, and we're not in school this week, because we're in Johnson City. And he was like, "Is this what you do every Thursday?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I do every Thursday."
Something like that when he was here earlier.
Into that, the packing of the lunch and desperately trying to get there on time and drop that one off, and then you get this one ready, and then drop that one off, and then get this one ready, and then get this one together, and then do this, and then we run to the next thing, and we run to the next thing, and he was like, "We're going to have to change something." We're kind of going, "We did it okay for 5 weeks. What's your problem?" "No, snap two. Then you got a bum. Get to it. Just go."
He said something about, and I had to, he had to fold himself up sitting Indian style somewhere today, and he was like, "Oh, ow, poor guy."
He did, poor thing. And his 20 pounds he lost, we pretty much lost it all in one butt. Which is very sad because it's my favorite part of his anatomy. And so his beautiful butt is about anatomy. That's very sad.
Now you have a good excuse to just feed him well.
That man will be he's one of those blessed, he can do anything in the whole wide world, and he just touched his butt, apparently. And so his poor little butt, that's what made me think about sitting in his style. I'm sure he was like, I am used to a little more cushion.
Like, I have bones down here.
Right? And so you can see, like, I'm like, "Oh, honey, like, it's my thing. Like, why don't I get this now?"
It's a deal breaker if you don't get it back.
So we had that discussion. He was like, "I will eat as much pizza and drink as much pizza." I said, "All right, I'm holding you to it." I do your back to chips, so I feel like he's
Right. Couple birds. He was a bit city earlier, he said, so I think he's well on the way.
This is your other fundraiser. If he walked across Tennessee, now it's the help him get his butt fat.
Yes.
If you want to go to St Jude's
Right.
and donate for his butt fat, go do it.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do injections. We're just, buying the pizza.
Just buy him a pizza.
I'm buying pizza and he'll be happy. That's something that man, he could eat every day, all day. And
He and I have talked extensively about many different types of weird pizzas.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, oyster and jalapeno.
That's it always comes back to that.
I'm not high.
Oh, don't.
I like some oysters. I like jalapenos. Okay,
You
well,
can't kiss a loved one for about 3 days after you've had that pizza. Otherwise,
well, you can eat the pizza.
I don't do the smoked oysters.
Fair enough.
I'll do raw oysters all day. I'll do steamed oysters
Just
all
not
day.
smoked.
It's because of you all.
Especially when they come out of a scary can that's been sitting there for how long? I don't know.
It was because of you all that I had an oyster I like. I've never liked raw oysters. I keep trying them.
Are you talking about Shuck and Shack?
This is when you went to Shuck and Shack. You have the oyster shell beer.
No, we went to the oyster shell.
Fantastic beer. I mean, it reminded me of the Briny Deep. It had that saltiness to it. But I was like, well, I gotta have a raw oyster if I'm going to eat this. And Bailey talked me through it. I put all the condiments on it, and it was actually really good.
the kind of the trade. Like when I was introduced to them for the very first time, no one said put stuff on it. They're like, here.
That's how I kept getting.
Just eat this disgusting, briny, like I like brine, but yeah, drink this disgusting, briny stuff.
There's no chewing. Like, and I think some people get a little caught up in the chewing. And so, no, there's no chewing.
Oh, seriously, that's opposite.
I took a little like cloud-like bite of it so I could drink the beer with it, and it was okay.
I just break down.
I can't swallow it all the way down. I have to chew.
That's how I fit it. I actually got 6 more, and I ate half of those, just slurping them right away. Just don't think about it.
They were good.
They were all right.
So good. So bad.
Not my thing, but all right.
I love it.
What was the first thing Eric did once? I mean, you've taken care of all the business at St. Jude. You finally got a moment where he's not walking across Tennessee. He can do anything he wants now. That was the first thing he did.
He got in the car. He's awesome.
Ready to go for a ride.
I was like, just get in the car and sit. Close the door, and then like we get kind of a little bit out of the parking lot, and the thing starts beeping, and I was like, babe, gotta put the seatbelt on, okay?
He's already forgotten how.
And he's like, oh yeah, and then puts the seatbelt on, and we went straight to Ghost River Brewing Company right after, and it was fascinating. There was a food truck there that served Cornish hens, like fried Cornish hens. And so I've had Cornish hens before, and usually they're about this big, right? These were this big, and I was like, I'm not sure that's a Cornish hen.
This might be a tiny hen.
That's the biggest Cornish hen I've ever seen in my life.
Wow!
And so they're huge, but it's delicious. Yeah. And so all of us got Cornish hen dinners and beer and hung out. And actually, I got a new flavor for our tap room to take back.
Hey!
I know I have to tell our bartender. Remind me. So they served so we do beer mimosas and beer berries here. They do a beer burrito. So they add margarita mix to their pilsner, which kind of, with our blonde, that's what we have the orange.
Bad at all.
So it was delicious.
Sounds great.
And so they put a little salt around the rim, a little lime, and I was like, sold.
We're stealing this.
So we're going to get that
I really like
beer
the Beery berries too.
Garita and put it on the menu for Sundays because it was delightful.
That's awesome.
So that's what I had. He had, what was this first beer? I think it was the Oktoberfest. Or no, it's the Gold. They have a Gold, something Gold, I think it's Gold Lager. It was the #1 beer in Memphis.
Wow.
2017. So he's like, I'm going to have the #1 beer in Memphis. It's my first beer.
Yeah.
So we had that and hung out, played some games with the kiddos, and then hauled her back to we got a little Airbnb, speaking of Airbnb.
Right.
We got a little Airbnb, it was delightful on Mud Island. Have you been to Mud, or heard of Mud Island? Okay, fascinating. It's a planned community. Everything's exactly the same, except different colors, and like you could tell it's one of those things where like you get a kit where you get to pick out, do you want pointy windows, do you want round windows, but it's all basically the same, and they all look little. So I open the door thinking, oh god, this is going to be so tight, and it just is like extends. Wow. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh god, I wouldn't have brought my kids here if I known it was like this.
They don't deserve this.
Don't touch anything. Just sit on the floor. Don't touch anything. Oh, you can't sit on the couch.
Wrap your hands in these towels.
Yes. And so it was really, and my girls, they walk around going, Mommy, this is so nice. I'm like, yes, we do not live like this. I know this. I have children. I don't speak something like this. But it was beautiful. But Mud Island, fascinatingly enough, so it was, and this is what my guess was, because I came in, when we first came and dropped the camper there, before I went and got Eric and brought him back to the house, I'd come in the back way, and you pass this tons of industry, like big, giant factories and tall tower things with smoke coming out. And I was like, where the hell am I? And then you kind of come there, make a left and a right, and all of a sudden you're right on the river, and then you turn in, and it's Island Drive, and then it's this beautiful planned community. And it has its own stores, grocery stores, and gym, and all.
I think that's as far as I ever got. A friend of mine lived not too far from there, and she said, you got to see this.
It was really pretty. So I was totally impressed. And I swear to God, it must have been, and I still want to read up on it and find out exactly what it was, but I'm thinking one of these industries just went out of business and decided we're just going to shut down. The developer bought all the property because it's all riverfront property and just, boom, put residential on it. And so funny that who did we talk to that's in Memphis? Oh, Zach from Bad Idea Brewing. We were telling about this really swanky place that we stayed in, how nice it was, very expensive. But there really wasn't any, unfortunately, safe place to stay in Memphis. Like, I looked at all the hotels, and they were all like, bed bugs, mold, or anything that was in our budget.
It's about the truth. I've been through this. I ended up finding people to stay with.
It's scary. And so it's like, this was more expensive, but then when I added in, for if you go to a nicer hotel, so you spend more for the one night, plus the valet parking, plus internet, plus all the things, I was like, Jesus Christ. So it was a lot less expensive to stay there, kind of look at it that way. I was talking to our friend Zach, and he was like, they used to live in Memphis, I guess, and they were like, oh, our people live in Memphis. And I was like, what? It's so nice. And they were like, they hired police officers, I guess, to block off the island during Halloween so that the kids can't come and trick or treat in their neighborhood.
Okay, well, that's a little
I see.
That's kind of not cool. I sort of get it. It's still a bad. This is bad news bears.
Sure.
Remind me to tell you a story very quickly about that.
That's okay. We got time.
I was thinking about so if the kids come, right? I wouldn't be really worried about the children that are coming. It's the parents or the dude behind casing my house while they're getting candy.
Right.
I could kind of see it. So I was like, okay, I think I can kind of understand that. But there was just a lot of not positive energy attached.
In my experiences in Memphis, it's always that kind of neighborhood versus every other rougher neighborhood. Yeah, everywhere I go, it's never. Oh, here's the little Johnson City middle of the road place. I never found those places.
I was about to say, I have a friend who moved here from Memphis, and she was like, your news is so positive here. She's like, I'm not used to reading, she's looking at the Memphis newspaper, who was murdered, who was raped, what police did what. She was like, this is very odd.
Coming into Memphis, Eric had consulted with the fire department in Bartlett, which was the place that we stayed coming into Memphis. And he consulted with the firefighters there about what's the safest route for me to get in. Bartlett was really the safest location before you start heading into Memphis, right? And he picked it at random. Thank God that's the place that he picked. So they mapped him out this route. Okay, you can't just go straight. That's not a good idea. So they routed him this way and this way, and he's like, all right. So that was his route. They got into Memphis proper and started walking out the street. I think Avenue, which leads pretty much right up to St Jude. St Jude has farms all around the campus and guard shacks at the entrances, hardcore guard shacks. You can't get in unless you are supposed to be there. And so he's, I don't know if you saw this picture on Facebook. So at one point they stopped and there was a church right in the middle of the neighborhood. And so he just walks in, because that's what my husband does. He's like, hi, we're just wondering if you pray for us. And they were like, did you want some money? He's like, nope, just pray for us. They were like, okay. And so they were, super nice people, prayed over him. And then just for safety from where he was at to getting to St. Jude. And then they gave him some water and he kind of went on his way. And then just as they were getting past that, some police officers pull up beside him. They're like, we're walking to St. Jude. We're raising money. And he did his whole spiel and they were like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm walking for St. Jude. They're like, no, man. A 14-year-old or 12-year-old was just shot and killed 2 feet back from where they just finished walking through because of gang activity. And Vern, the guy walking with him, they saw casings on the ground, all around, and they were like, well, that's what that was. Oh. And so they were like, you cannot walk any further. You have to go around. This is it just gets worse from here. And so they very kindly helped them. They said, this is the way that you're going to go.
Wow,
and we're just going to be with you. So they stayed with him, and they went to everywhere that they needed to make a turn. They just stopped at that corner and waited until they got there. They're like, okay, now go this way. And they would go to the next stop and say, okay, now you need to go this way. And there's 2 pictures you'll see on the thing that I posted. I was like, this is why Eric's late. He's talking about water and got blessed. And then he got blessed again by some police officer. Right. That he's going to get you, in one piece. And because it was so funny, when he left, I was like, I got you pepper spray. Like, he had pepper spray and some other things. And he was like, I got my stick. All I need is my stick. And I was like, all right, you got your stick, man. Like, do your thing. And they're like,
yeah, I mean,
are you packing?
There's some parts of Nashville in my experience that are very similar, but I have not been to too many places that I just never really, no matter where I went, even down what is Beale Street and such, even there,
it's not friendly.
Yeah, it's not friendly.
They're just kind of there.
Yeah,
like
there are no locals.
Like, hey, where are you from?
No, it's more just like,
that'll be $2.50.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, and like something I was noticing too, like I had to go to the post office and I needed to do make some photocopies of some stuff, so I went to Office Depot, decided to go run some errands, and people there don't want to be there, and there's nothing, and there was nobody cared, and I was like, I've just been standing here for 10 minutes and no heads popped up.
I'll just do it myself, I guess.
And there's just I was going, have I really got maybe that spoiled, or is this just that bad? It's hard to tell.
I can tell you that if you go to the Central Barbecue, that's right in the middle of the city. There's a Central Barbecue right there. Those are the best tempered, nicest people that I met my entire trip to Memphis. Those people loved making barbecue and they loved watching me eat it. Mm-hmm. And they just talked and they were busy. I mean, there was a half-hour, 45-minute line. Still, they want to talk to everybody.
The Cornish hen guy was very nice. I will say that.
Yeah.
We have a picture of him too. You should see him. He was super, super, super nice. And that was probably the nicest person I met in Memphis was the Cornish hen man.
Yeah.
The Cornish hen man.
I'd be pretty happy if I was serving Cornish hen.
He's kind of cool dude, and I'll tell you what, it was delicious.
You're making me want some Cornish hen.
It's the one where they just stick in the fryer.
Yeah.
This isn't like fried in a pan. This is like.
Yeah.
Well, to this day, one of my favorite meals, is to take a whole chicken, stick it in a crock pot, without anything, cook it for 8 hours, and it's own fat. That's the way to go. I love that.
And it's all that duck fat, pull it out and stick it in and fry her up. He has some really good friends that are French, and they work at Virginia Tech, and they'll come down to visit us every now and again. They go to France about twice a year, and they always bring us back. And she showed me how to make it one time, but I kind of figured out my own way that I really like. Where I just stick it in the frying pan, I just fry that damn thing up until, I was like, I like the crispy bits. I want the crispy bits. And she's like, you just took all, good thing. And I was like, oh, no, the crispy bits.
You don't understand.
Attaboy, Frenchie.
Y'all know nothing about food.
Good. They were so funny because they came to our house one time, and I think that her feelings were getting hurt because she opened my cabinet one time and she was like, my coffee, and I was like, I am saving that for a really special occasion. And I was like, I could open it for you if you want. You're a special occasion. She was like, I get it all the time. I was like, well, that is cool. Yeah, I'm saving it.
Or Christmas or something.
And then the other one thing is Eric will be like, why are so many sick girls? And I was like, oh, for my dead body. They are one out with peanut butter and jelly. We are not wasting confetti.
Yeah,
so you're fine.
I've had that same conversation about kids.
They could care less.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Either they'll care less or they'll become those insufferable little girls in school who are like, what's this? We eat confit at home.
Yes. Or we tried not to tell them what it was. We've had rabbits and other things, and I'm just like, it's chicken.
Different kind of chickens than you normally use.
Yeah, it's like dark meat.
Yeah. One day you'll grow up and be a French person and find out.
Oh, today is authentic.
So y'all, how long have y'all been back from the trip? Today is the 5th.
We got back on Tuesday.
Oh, so you are literally 2 days.
Yes.
Not even 48 hours.
Right on.
So yesterday we were supposed to sort of spend at the house just in our little space, but that never happens. So
No one ever
visited people and did the things and did the running around as a business owner that we needed to do and got the kids to where they needed to go, and then I was like, Thursday, we're gonna do it Thursday, and then we've been running since 8 o'clock this morning, and I was like, we're gonna have our day. Now the goal is Sunday is gonna be our day.
Awesome.
Well, I feel bad. feel bad for doing the interview.
Oh, don't really. We've been running all day. Like there's.
Well, that's even worse.
I don't feel bad. It's been a great conversation.
It will. It has. But
I don't mind at all. And Eric got to put the kids to bed, so all the happiness there. Yes, I've been putting them to bed for 5 weeks, so yay!
Yeah. See, I think this was the first, when he came here tonight, this was the first time he had been in the tap room since he got back. So he was looking around like, have you been here before? Let me show you around.
Making sure everything's
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And tomorrow's his big welcome back shit. Tomorrow's the official
5 to 10, and Main Street Pizza's donating a bunch of pizzas that we put out for everybody. We're gonna
two of my favorite things in one place.
Carrot cake, because that's Eric's favorite cake. So he's gonna blow some candles out. And we're doing an infusion with carrot cake on something delicious, and
That's
we're
awesome.
releasing 3 beers. We have a hazelnut praline round.
I'm here. That's all I need.
I'm on tomorrow.
Oh.
It's not going to be around after tomorrow.
I'll drink yours, Bailey.
What time is it coming out?
5 o'clock. You should stop it. It's worth it. It's so delicious. We did a cast of it once, and it went over, like it was on in about an hour and a half, but we didn't have time to do a cast this time, so we just made a keg of it.
That's
but,
great.
It's amazing! And then we've got a...
Love anything hazelnut.
What was the persimmon blonde and a cranberry cake, and then I think that we're infusing the carrot cake on prohibition.
Right on.
This is what I just had.
Or excited. And, we're still encouraging people to continue to give if they can. We'd like to hit that 15 if we can get there. I think, like I said, there's still like outstanding stuff, so we've been sort of...
And folks can get. Do you have any T-shirts left?
I have like 4.
Oh, okay. So not a lot left to be made on T-shirts, but those are down here at the Johnson.
It was over $1,000 that we donated just from T-shirt sales alone.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
That's great.
And so it's kind of cool to see people out and about with the walk shirts
Yeah.
on. And those were designed by Boomtown, very kindly designed by them, and they just really knocked it out of the park. Jamie McCandless there is just a fantastic artist, and he does all of it.
Oh, they all look great. I love the style.
Yeah.
And that's, you go to walkacrosstennessee.org to still donate. How long are you going to be taking donations? Just going to leave it open?
Yeah, we'll probably I would. This is kind of an error question, but I'm thinking we leave it open for another month just to let people finish it up, and then we'll just wrap it up and say, okay, so there's all of that to do, and then just getting Eric's butt back. Very important.
That's the next goal.
Yes,
That's the next family goal.
The next family goal, and we've got our new warehouse that we're building, remodeling, just over there, and so we're really excited. That's slowly starting to gain some momentum, which is really exciting. We're having a wall built right now.
Oh wow!
Not thinking anybody could be so excited about walls.
I mean, America's all excited about walls right now, so...
Ours is more friendly. It actually will have glass through it, so you can look and see, so you can brush your face up against the glass and go, please sell it, please.
I will.
I think you should.
And I'll be over there when you're hosting the fire department's coat drive on the 27th. Well,
it's actually a fundraiser to raise funds to buy coats.
Okay.
It's a little interesting. So the local firemen's union, who are amazing, by the way, they also help by helping to call ahead to some of the fire departments and set things up for Eric. And we're just real thankful for them. But they approached us a while ago about this fundraiser. So the way that it works, and so the union, firemen's union is a unique duck. I think it's awesome. My dad utilized them a lot because he was a troublemaker and he did. But the unions, they're not a typical union. So they're more of they take care of legal matters. They'll take care of I'll give you an example. My dad is a tall man, and so when they got new beds put in at the fire department, they told my dad, well, you just need to sleep in the bed. And my dad was like, my feet hang over the edge. And they were like, so?
I know the tall guy.
So the union was like, no, you have to get him an extra long bed. That's like an employment agreement, kind of thing. And so it's things like that the union can go in and just look out for your guys. And if something were to happen, they are the ones that are the intermediaries and the mediators often between the leadership and the sort of great guys. So there's a national union level, right? And then we have local unions. So the national union level insists that it's only American-made coats that can be given. And because of that, they've stopped doing rented tier coats because people were going to Walmart and just getting whatever coat they had, or they were bringing used coats, but the union is to be a brand new American-made coat. And so to make it easier on everyone, they just raise the funds to go purchase the coats, which is what is going to be your job, is they'll be hanging up all these things, and you'll be the guy to be like, all right, we want to, they want to raise, I think they got 156 coats is what they're shooting to get. And so I think we're going to try and figure out a way to like hang it on the fence or whatever, so that people just go up and grab a card that would represent a coat.
Yeah.
And you'll be the guy to be like, okay, there's only like 30 of these left. Get up there and grab me another coat.
And get people challenging other people.
Right.
I like bringing a little competition.
So I think it'll be really fun. And then, like I said, I can't remember the name of the band, but it's Gentleman Something or Something Gentleman, or it's a local great thing.
It's a different web show does music, not us.
So it's going to be
we're
great.
Not the music one.
And we have a great MC.
I hear he's a big jerk. Who knows?
He's so cute. I hear that's pretty good too. And so
I
that's
just
going to
help
be
me
happening.
on that.
October 27th is the date on that, and it'll be out at the warehouse at the outside of it. So around the back, we're going to hopefully have a patio out there eventually when we open the place up as a tap room. So do a little preview, and we'll have some food plates up and live music and porta potties because you can't go in the building. But it'll be fun.
So what date is this?
It's Friday, October 27th. It'll start at 5 o'clock. Are you out of town again? Never quit doing that, kid. Seriously.
I will come to the early part of it.
Why are you even on a local web show?
No.
I can't say anything. I'm gone.
I'll come tomorrow at 5 to get the hazelnut praline beer. Then I will come at 5 on the big day.
And then you should buy Coke for a kid.
I will buy a Coke for a kid. For sure.
We're being dispersed through the Boys and Girls Club. That's how they're the funnel through which it'll be handed out. So it's all around a great community project, and we're real excited. It's called All Fired Up. It's the name of the thing. Boomtown has designed the logo for the shirt.
Oh, cool.
So there'll be a really awesome logo shirt to be sold, and I think it's gonna be a great night.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll have some beer. We're doing another jalapeno style beer.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm encouraging a peach jalapeno.
I think that's a great
I've
idea.
done a mango one before, but I was thinking
peach.
Change her up. We should do
A friend of mine used to make a peach salsa, where most people make mango salsa. She would put peach in the salsa. Fresh peach in there, just so good. Especially she would put the jalapeno. It would offset the habanero she was putting in there. But it was fantastic.
Tomorrow is the real night that we're talking about.
Yes.
Yes, come, welcome Eric home, give him a hug, make him uncomfortable.
Eat cake.
Yes.
He really hates being told that he does good things, so it makes him extremely uncomfortable. So please come and embarrass him as much as possible. Tell him like how great he is and all the good things that he does, and you get to see his little face blush.
Right. Oh, poor.
He said all his checks.
We're going to catch up with Eric again. He had to leave a little earlier. He's got stuff to say, so we'll catch up with Eric again. You know,
I think
any excuse to sit in their spot here. You know?
I'm glad we got a full session with Kat.
Yeah, it's been great, Kat. Thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
We told you it would be.
I was like, I don't understand why you want to talk to me. I didn't do anything.
Yes,
And then it turns out you just spent all this time talking about all the stuff you did.
And you saved his life in Nashville?
I don't think I did.
I think
really think you did.
I'm saying you did.
I've been dehydrated and I didn't even know it.
And I feel like at some point in the future we'll just have a Cat episode too.
Yeah, I'm gone. They're just gonna kick me to the curb, and those two are gonna do the show.
You know, just yes. Now you know what it's like.
We could go to hot springs.
Yes.
From the hot tub.
Yes.
This is getting really too complex.
Yes, we should. So fun. We'll do it.
You do it, I'll set the equipment
We'll
up.
turn it around for the people that are floating in the river.
That's right.
You know, just wave.
Yeah. Smile and wave.
3 tubs over. I ain't wearing pants.
We'll have to leave that way.
Yeah. No, we'll wear swimming suits, but we'll just put black bars there anyway. Just to.
Because that's fun.
I'm not wearing pants. Anyhow.
Exactly. This is our naked show. Yes, naked show.
Well, thanks, Kat. It's been great. Thanks for letting us come down here to Johnson City Brewing Company. We like coming down here anyhow.
Yeah, we here
It's a business meeting, and we come down here and drink beer and forget to talk business. That's the way it works.
I like it a lot. We really appreciate you guys doing what you're doing. It's really fun to follow all your stuff on Facebook.
I appreciate it. now this time of year, now I've got a little more time, so hopefully we'll be hitting a few more places up and down the street. And we'll be dropping by here some more.
So you're always welcome here.
Appreciate you. This is at Hometown, East Tennessee. Another one in the bag. This is Kat Latham. Y'all have a good night. I got a bunch of editing to do. Sorry we couldn't be there live, but believe me, this was the next best thing. See y'all.
Bye.